Thank you, Dean Gowan, President Lambert, Reverend Smith, Dr. House, and Dr. Burpitt. And thank you as well to the superb faculty members who devote their lives to this wonderful institution. Most of all, thank you to this year's graduates for the great honor of addressing you at your commencement ceremony. I'd also like to congratulate Michael for his insightful and inspiring speech. It's a tough act to follow. But I'd like to also congratulate him for one other special reason, because I heard earlier, and some of you may not know, but I heard that he got engaged last night. So this weekend is certainly the start of an interesting new future for him. I first visited Elon's amazing campus as part of the college search with my daughter Helen, who I'm proud to say will be a senior next year and is in the audience here with me today. I found myself stunned by the beauty of the campus. I was unable to resist taking photos in front of Moseley. I was impressed by the caliber of the staff, the delightful students, and the progress this university has achieved in the last few years. I've also gotten to know Mary Gowan very well in the last 3 years, and I've admired the way she and the faculty here have led the business school at Elon to new heights. It means you all graduate today with a qualification that will be recognized and valued through your business careers from an institution that ranks with some of the country's top business schools. As you heard from Mary's very kind introduction, I have been fortunate to have spent my career in various roles in financial services and the media industry. I think you can also tell from my accent that I come from a little country an ocean away. Sometimes it seems the UK is best known for that little skirmish it lost back in 1776. But mostly my heritage has helped me become a straight talker who believes deeply in fighting for great outcomes. In both my business and charitable roles, I've been privileged to work alongside some superb leaders. I also learned early in my career that if you stay within the boundaries of your home country, it can limit your potential. So I was lucky to expand my own horizons by working in a global company and transferring to the US, where I learned to love the way business is carried out here. But when you look at my resume, one thing you don't see is an MBA. To be honest, I watch with some degree of envy, as you all graduate with your MBA qualifications. I have few regrets in life, but one for sure is that I always wanted to do what you have now done. So as I stand here and reflect on this being the nearest I will ever get to an MBA graduation of my own, I salute you all. What I want to do today is quite simple. If I can talk to you for the next few minutes and leave you with one or even two individual thoughts that help you, then my job is done. So I want to share with you a few stories that I believe reflect what it is to be a leader in today's world, what a leader looks like from where I sit, and what I would care about if I were in your shoes. In my view, great leaders are authentic. They're real people with real frailties. But the most prominent characteristic they always show is passion. As you leave here tonight with your degree, fresh with the knowledge you've gained and the confidence you've built, people will talk to you about getting a job. They'll talk to you about that as though it is an objective in itself. But trust me, you will all get jobs. You will all do well. The secret is to make sure that you're passionate about what you're doing. In 2005, Apple CEO Steve Jobs made a whole commencement speech around a single quote where he said, "You've got to find what you love." When I was the CFO of Reuters America in 1999, I'd been in the US for 3 years, and I loved being here. My family were happy. My golf game was at its best. I'd just won the town championship. My mindset was focused on becoming a US citizen. I loved my job and I loved this country. Right at that time, the CEO called me from London. And he gave me what he perceived to be some terrific news. He had a new role for me. It was a great role, but it meant I needed to go back to the UK. He was shocked when I told him I wouldn't go. I loved what I did in the US, and I wanted to stay and see it through. Initially, he explained a few facts of life to me, starting with how the company had brought me to the US, and the company was going to take me back home again. But he didn't know me. He didn't realize how passion drives me. So I told him I would leave the company instead. Several tough conversations later, I was promoted to a new and bigger role, based here in the US. And I believe if I had not stood my ground, based on my determination to be where I would have the most satisfaction and the most fun, years later, I wouldn't have ended up getting my current role when Thomson acquired Reuters in 2007, and my family wouldn't have proudly become US citizens in 2006. My daughter wouldn't be at Elon, and I wouldn't be here today. All these wonderful things in my life resulted from my belief that passion drives action. And it runs in the family too. As with many people, my father was probably the biggest influence on my life. He started his career as a mailboy in a huge direct mail company. He didn't have the benefits of a college education or influential parents. All he had was his intelligence, his work ethic, and his passion. Well, 20 years later, my father was the CEO and chairman of that direct mail company. He had worked his way to the top, studying in his evenings and building a life for his family that his own parents could never have imagined. He enabled his children to go to college, benefiting from what he had missed out on. And if you asked him why he worked so hard, he would simply tell you that he loved what he did. So the first message I'd like to leave with you today is this. If you want to do great work, you have to love what you do. If you know what that is, great. If you don't, keep looking. My second theme is the importance of optimism. Great leaders are visionaries. They see things as they can be. They're inspirational. Take a couple of people you know. One of them is a person who always tells you why whatever you're thinking of is risky, destined to fail, or costly. The other talks inspirationally about the dream, describes how progress is inevitable. And failure is not even in the realm of possible outcomes. Now think about which one of these two people could get you to stay late at night, to pull out all the stops, to fight, to make it happen. One of the ways I've always made optimism part of my own modus operandi is by telling stories that illustrate a great outcome and get people to create the mental image of what they want to be or what they think they can create. If you get that image in your mind and you care about the outcome because you're passionate about it, you never think of failure. You just drive for success. When faced with a problem, I view it as a challenge. When faced with a setback, I view it as a chance for a new direction. When I'd only just arrived in the US as the new CFO for Reuters America, I had the head of one of our businesses, a man who subsequently became one of our leading CEOs, asking me to approve a plan of his to invest $25 million in a project. His last 3 projects had not delivered the promise. They hadn't been disastrous either, but I asked him, why on earth would I approve the expenditure given your lack of success the last 3 times? And he said, firstly, David, I've learned from my mistakes. And secondly, the way I calculate it, the law of averages is on my side. So I approved that deal, driven in part by the plan, but mostly because his passion and optimism made me believe he had a chance. Just 5 years later, the business he invested the $25 million in was worth 10 times that amount. And that's what I love about business in the US. American leaders are born optimists, like the golfer who stands in the fairway convinced that this time he will hit the green. Great American leaders view failure as a learning experience, and that makes success more likely with their next try. That's why I believe the US economy always will be the most influential in the world, and why American leaders will always be emulated by others. A few years ago, I had the good fortune to meet boxing legend Sugar Ray Leonard. I listened to Sugar Ray talk about his time in the ring, and he made me smile when he explained that when you get ready for a world championship fight, you look across the ring at the other guy. At that time, he looks bigger and scarier than anyone you've ever seen in your entire life. For a moment, you begin to feel fear creep into your body. And then you remember, nobody can beat you because you move faster, you hit harder, your strategy is better, and you spring into life for round one, certain in the knowledge that you will win. I heard firsthand how optimism is vital as an ingredient for victory. The fighters he knew, who started that first round thinking about how much the other guy's punches would hurt, found out quickly that they were 100% right. Optimism helped make Sugar Ray a 6-time world champion. And my last theme for today is what makes a great leader is vulnerability. Or more precisely, how a leader deals with vulnerability and turns adversity into strength. Great leaders realize early that they are not perfect. In fact, they share many human vulnerabilities. Normally, experience somewhere in their life makes them focus on their frailty, but they translate that experience into an inner strength that makes them more resilient in the future and also endears them to the people who live or work around them. Think for a minute about Michael Bloomberg, whose career at a bank called Salomon Brothers ended early. Initially, his world collapsed, but he didn't drop his head. In fact, he became defiant, using the experience of rejection to drive him to create what is now one of the world's most impressive companies worth billions of dollars, and in fact, a formidable competitor to my own company. Not satisfied with that, he went on to become mayor of New York. Steve Jobs had a similar experience after being fired on the way to building Apple to what it is today. And I believe neither Bloomberg nor Jobs would be where they are today, among the most admired businessmen in the world, without recognizing and accepting their own vulnerabilities, and then responding in a way that inspired others. Now, I am a student of human nature, and I love people, and I believe a fundamental part of being human is to be social. And core to that is an inherent desire to help others. That desire to help, so fundamentally human, applies to leaders and those who follow them. The reality is that followers want to help their leaders, and great leaders know the power of being authentically open, even vulnerable, and they enlist the help of those who follow them. I had come to understand this some years ago, but it was made powerfully real to me much more recently. On Christmas Day last year, I suffered a pretty serious viral attack on my heart, and I was admitted to a hospital in Stewart in Florida, wondering whether I would still be here the day after Christmas. There's no greater realization of human vulnerability than when you experience staring possible death in the face. Though it has been said that nobody wants to die, even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And in that moment, you see with crystal clarity how much you need the people around you. And when you have loving family, talented work colleagues, and caring friends, they help you back to your feet. Now, I was fortunate to completely recover from that virus, but experiencing vulnerability helped make me a stronger person. It made me realize the value of my own optimism as I strive for recovery, and helped me focus on the things that matter, not sweating the small stuff anymore. I don't feel unlucky to have fallen ill. I feel incredibly lucky to be recovering and to be able to take positives from the experience. I came back from my illness determined to make myself more effective as a result of it. Imagine the doubts that could have been dominant. Would people at work see me as weakened? Would the fact that the company survived without me for a month mean I was now dispensable? Would I in some way be derailed? When I was away, my deputy and my management team were determined to make me proud. They stepped up and delivered flawlessly. Far from experiencing any negatives, I learned that my colleagues valued me even more as a person than as a CFO. Far from thinking less of me, they gave me credit for developing a talented executive team who were capable of operating without me. Far from seeing me as weaker, they told me how quickly they noticed on my return that I was keeping my team at that stepped-up level and was now engaging myself even more strategically. My illness isn't something I'd like to repeat, but I can tell you I feel stronger for it, and it reinforced my passionate belief in the people I work with and the love I feel for my incredible family. So I have reflected with you today about 3 characteristics that I think most great leaders share and that I have tried to make a way of life. I have a passion for everything I do. Otherwise, I find a way to stop doing it. I wear optimism like a cloak that helps me always drive for my dreams. And I'm aware of and not afraid to show my vulnerabilities and to learn a little humility. By combining those qualities, I try to inspire others to follow my lead. And they help me deliver my commitments because we simply can't imagine failing to do so. I believe most CEO and CFOs across the country try to lead this very same way. I hope some small part of what I've chatted about helps you as you start down your path to a great business career. The road to a happy, healthy, and wealthy future is rich with experiences. So I hope you never view experiences as bad. Always learn from them, and never let them suppress your passion, your optimism, or the knowledge that out of vulnerability comes strength. I wish each and every one of you the best of luck, and I thank you again for allowing me to share this very special day with you. Thank you.